So now what we're going to do is we are going to do some problems so that we can get used to doing these. Okay, so right now we are going to find the measurements of all of these different angles based on some of the examples that we looked at. So let's get started. And first thing that we can do pretty easily is we can find the measurement of this angle 7 right here. And the reason that we can find the measurement of this right here is because we have a triangle, and the measure of the degrees in a triangle is going to be 180 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to have 60 degrees plus 70 degrees plus the measurement of angle 7. That is going to give me 180 degrees. Okay, so 60 plus 70 is 130 degrees. And so the measurement of angle 7 is going to be 50 degrees. So I'm just going to subtract that 130 from both sides, and I get 50 degrees. So the measurement of angle 7 is 50 degrees. Now, we can figure out the measurement of angle 12 because it is a vertical angle. So that is also going to be 50 degrees. And then we can figure out the measurement of angle 8 right here because this makes a straight line right here, and it also makes a straight line right here. So the measurement of angle 8, so 50 degrees, plus the measurement of angle 8 is going to be 180 degrees. So when I subtract 50 degrees from that, I am going to get 130 degrees. Okay, and then vertical angles have the same measurement, and so that is 130 degrees. Okay, and we can do the same thing in each of our other parts. So what we have right here, let's look at this one right here. So we've got 70 degrees right here. So the measurement of angle 9 is also going to be 70 degrees right there. Okay, then we can look at this line right here, and we've got 70 degrees right here, so 70 degrees plus angle 6. Okay, so we've got 70 degrees plus the measurement of angle 6 is going to equal 180 degrees because they are supplemental angles right here. They make a straight line. So I subtract 70 from both sides, and I get the measure of angle 6 is 110 degrees. Okay, so angle 6 is 110 degrees, and that means that angle 10 is also 110 degrees. Okay, now if you remember this picture right here, these two angles are the same measurement, and these two angles are the same measurement. And so that's how we can look at our top angles. So the measurement of angle 4 is going to be 70 degrees because it is equal to this angle right here. And the measurement of angle 5 is going to be equal to this angle right here. So that is going to be 50 degrees. Okay, and then we can double check ourselves because 70 degrees plus 60 degrees plus 50 degrees has to be 180 degrees because that makes a line right there, and it does. So then we've got 60 degrees right here, okay, because they are vertical angles. 70 degrees and angle 3, they are vertical angles, and then angle 1 and 5 are also vertical angles, and that covers all of our different angles. Okay. Okay, let's do another one. This one is a little bit more challenging, and that's why I definitely want to do this one. So, how many degrees does the minute hand of a clock turn? And something that I want to be sure that you're aware of is that the degrees in a circle are 360 degrees. Okay, so if I go all the way around in a circle, that's 360 degrees. So when we've got our clock, and we're talking about the minute hand of our clock, so you kind of have, you've got your short hand and then you've got your minute hand. In an hour, your minute hand goes all the way around. So it goes a full 360 degrees. So the way that I want to set this up is to set up a proportion. So I have 35 minutes, and we're talking about how many minutes it takes for the minute hand to go all the way around. So we are taking this around 35 out of 60 minutes. And we want to know how many degrees is that over 360 degrees. Okay, so we've just set up a proportion. So this right here is minutes, 35 out of 60 minutes. And I want to, this is my unknown. I want to know how many degrees does the minute hand go through in 35 minutes? Now, if you think about 30 minutes, in 30 minutes, it will have gone halfway around. So that's 180 degrees. So now what I can do is I can cross multiply. So I have 360 degrees times 35, and that's going to equal 60 times x degrees. Okay, I'm going to divide 60 by both sides. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do some cross canceling. So 60 goes into 60 one time, and 60 goes into 360 6 times. And so now I've got 6 times 35. 6 times 35 is going to be 210, and that is degrees. And that is what we are looking for. So the answer to this right here is 210 degrees. Now it wants to know in 4 minutes. So we're going to do it exactly the same way in 4 minutes because we're talking about the minute hand. So we've got 4 over 60. So this is 4 minutes out of 60 minutes. And then we have x over 360. Okay, and that x is measured in degrees. And that's what we're looking for right there is the degrees. So I'm going to have 4 times 360 equals 60 times x. Divide both sides by 60. Okay, I can do some cross canceling. Oops, right here. Okay, so then I have 4 times 6, so that's 24 degrees is equal to x. And so this part is 24 degrees. Okay, now the second part of this, we are talking about the hour hand. The hour hand. Okay, how many degrees does the hour hand of a clock turn? Now, think about your clock. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not how it goes. How about this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so your hour hand goes 360 degrees in 12 hours. Now we're talking about minutes. So we're not talking about hours. So we've got to change those hours to minutes. So the way that we do that is we're going to say 12 times 60. Okay, and 12 times 60 is 720. 720 is how many minutes are in 12 hours. So there's 720 minutes in 12 hours. Okay, 720 minutes in 12 hours. And this is what happens when we're talking about the hour hand of our clock. So to solve this one, we are going to say 35 over 720 minutes. And that's going to equal x over 360 because the number of degrees all the way around the circle is still 360 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to say 35 times 360 equals 720 times x. I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 720. Okay, so here I am able to cross cancel here. 360 goes into 720 two times. Okay, so I have 35 over 2 equals x degrees. 35 divided by 2 is going to be 17.5 degrees. And that is our x value. Okay, now I am running out of room. Looks like I've got just a little bit down here. So now we're going to do the same thing, but with 4 minutes, and we're talking about our hour hand. So I'm going to do this one right down here. I'll do it in a different color so that we can see. So I've got 4 minutes over 720 minutes because we're talking about our hour hand. Okay, and that's going to equal x over 360 degrees. So I'm going to have 4 times 360 degrees equals 720 times x. I divide both sides by 720. Okay. I have 360. That goes one time. 360 goes into 720 two times. So then I am left with 4 divided by 2. So I'm going to have 2 degrees equals x. So this is 2 degrees. And our 35 minutes for our hour hand was 17.5 degrees. Okay, and you've got another one where you're doing something very, very similar, but you're doing it with the Earth and the Moon. So this particular problem will be helpful when you start looking at the problem on your quiz with the Earth and the Moon. So give that one a try. Okay, I definitely like these two problems because they are two triangles, and we are finding the measure of all of the angles inside the triangle. Now, here we've got an x value, and then 32 degrees. If I am to add x plus 32 degrees, then those three angles add up to 180 degrees. So I'm just taking this angle plus this angle plus this angle, and I'm getting 32, and all three of them together equal 180 degrees. So now I've just got an algebra problem to solve. So I have 2x plus 32 degrees equals 180 degrees. I'm going to subtract 32 from both sides. So then I have 2x equals 148 degrees. I divide by 2, and my x value is 74 degrees. Okay, so that means this angle right here is 74 degrees, and this angle right here is 74 degrees. And now we're going to do the same thing with our other triangle, but here I've got y and 2y and 21. So I'm going to have y plus 2y plus 21 degrees equals 180 degrees. Okay, so now I've got 3y plus 21 degrees equals 180 degrees. I'm going to subtract 21 from both sides, and I'm left with 3y equals 159 degrees. 159 degrees. And when I divide that by 3, I get that y is equal to 53 degrees. Now, be careful here because this angle is y by itself. It's just 53 degrees. But this angle right here is 2y. So I have to do 2 times 53 to get the measurement of that angle. And 2 times 53 degrees is 106. Okay, and you can always check that by adding these three angles together and making sure that you get 180 degrees. Okay, now I like this problem, and it's a little bit challenging to think about why it works. Okay, so what we have right here is we have this triangle. And what we want to find is we want to find this angle of elevation. this angle of elevation. So this is what we're looking for right here. Okay, this angle of elevation. Now, this is a protractor right here. It's a protractor, and it's going to help us measure this angle right here. Okay, now, this right here is a weight. It's a weight that makes that string hang down. And the trick to this and being able to understand what's happening here is that this weight is being pulled down by gravity. And so this angle right here is a 90-degree angle. That's why this works, because that weight is being pulled down by gravity and makes that a right triangle. So if this is a right triangle, and that's 90 degrees right there, we want to know, how do we figure out this angle of elevation? And the way that we would figure that out is we would just subtract whatever the p-value is, and we've got our degrees right there, so I don't have to write that down. We would just subtract that p-value from 90 degrees. That's all we would have to do right there, is subtract that p-value, okay? And I know that that looks a little different, but the trick is understanding that this right here makes a 90-degree angle because of that weight that's being pulled to the ground. That's always going to be a 90-degree angle with the ground. And so we've got, so these two angles right here are going to be 90 degrees together. So it would be 90 minus whatever this angle is right here. Okay? And that is it.